If there's one thing I wish more games had, it'd be co-op that actually matters. Stuff like Gears of War or Borderlands are fine, but the co-op features hardly feel necessary. A Way Out not only seeks to provide an interesting story, but also a cooperative experience where you literally could not complete it on your own with an AI companion, at least not without cheapening the entire thing. A Way Out puts players in control of two convicted prisoners, Vincent and Leo, as they seek to escape prison and settle the score with an old enemy. The personality differences between the two protagonists make for a familiar odd couple style relationship, with Vincent being more calm and collected than the hot-headed Leo. This relationship is generally well written, if a little cliched, and the growth between the two characters makes it easy to invest in their story. The plot itself is engaging and facilitates plenty of memorable sequences and moments that, despite being a little far-fetched, are undeniably entertaining. The game has a heavily cinematic feel to it despite having an ever-present split screen regardless of local or online play, an element that it actually utilizes to great effect. Something as simple as adjusting the size and layout of these split screens look really interesting, and this almost constant screen division makes it so that when it disappears, it's actually kind of exciting and catches you off guard. Unfortunately, A Way Out isn't quite as visually spectacular as its more cinematic contemporaries. While the game's art style works well for it, there's no denying that some models and animations look just a little bit too rough around the edges. Additionally, texture pop-in is constant and noticeable throughout the game, which can become a little distracting. Speaking of distractions, hearing the occasional Swedish accent breakthrough in this story set in 70s America wasn't really conducive to my sense of immersion. For the most part, the non-American voice cast do a serviceable job in bringing these characters to life, but some could be much, much better. Looking at Leo in particular. Like its presentation, A Way Out is unique and interesting, but with more than a few imperfections. While I've heard that a lot of people are turned off by the game's co-op requirements, I have to say that it just wouldn't be the same without this feature. As an action game, A Way Out is solid. It's not mechanically deep, but it does feature a wide array of mechanics throughout its playtime, and for the most part these mechanics are enjoyable. Stealth and chase sections, as well as cooperative minigames, are A Way Out's focus, and despite the game's linearity, it does provide some limited freedom. For example, the chase and stealth sections usually offer multiple paths, and more often than not, they require players to split up, with either character able to experience either option. While these sequences allow for players to split up and do their own thing, there are plenty of tasks that require both players to communicate to accomplish them effectively. Climbing steep shafts or directing a boat down some rapids doesn't seem like much in a mechanical sense, but the simple minigames that you play to do these actions require coordination and timing, giving them a layer of depth that the more action-focused sections lack. But not all aspects of A Way Out's gameplay fare so well. The game features light driving and shooting mechanics, and while they're functional, there's an undeniable level of mechanical jank on display. For instance, sometimes you're shooting at enemies and your crosshair will just snap a few meters in one direction, and driving feels loose, and a single impact can make you lose control in an instant. Thankfully, these sequences are few and far between, and the story happening around them is exciting enough to distract from the rough implementation. Beyond its varied mechanics of varying quality, I was most surprised by how often the game made it feel like we, the players, were under pressure, and how regularly it felt like the characters were only just escaping danger by inches. This doesn't sound like much, but A Way Out makes a point of frequently having the camera split again to show an incoming threat, and when you can see that danger approaching, it seems harder to fudge the timing to feel more dramatic. Either there is some slick editing happening under the hood, or the majority of these sequences are timed to perfection. Either way, it's rare that a game has made me feel this amount of tension by giving me all the information about a scene. Additionally, the more bombastic moments are imaginative and exciting. Honestly, they evoke the feeling of a budget Uncharted, with its most defining difference being that you're experiencing these insane action movie moments alongside a friend. And really, don't friends make most things better? Of course they do. Maybe my biggest complaint with the game is that there isn't more of it. Though you could argue that trying to coordinate two people to play through a game longer than 6 hours would be a maddening task, and therefore wouldn't be worth it. To the game's credit, it does make online co-op more viable by only requiring one person to own the full game, so bonus points there. With that in mind, I gotta say, A Way Out is good. If this was a single player experience, then I feel like the game's quirks and less polished elements would affect my opinion a little more adversely. But it's not, and the co-op implementation is not only surprisingly smooth, it also feels 100% necessary from the word go. A Way Out features an engaging story with likable characters, exciting sequences, and a gameplay that is varied and interesting. If you're looking for mechanical depth, you're probably in the wrong place, but if you want a decent story or are just dying to play something with a friend, look no further.